Well, that was quite a show, wasn't it, yesterday? I did sit and watch all of it. Um, it was very moving at times, incredibly impressive, very precise. The military precision was amazing. Um, Lots of bits of it reminded me of Gormenghast. I said that before. The rituals and the odd things that need to be done. Um, there are several things that struck me, and I can't remember them all. But one of the things that um, I'm gonna say took my fancy. That's not really the right word, but that I started to take more notice of was the heraldic banners in St George's Chapel. They were stunning, and I started to think about um, who'd made them and how much work had gone into them. I was reminded of somebody I knew when I was, or knew of when I was about 18. I knew her, and it was her daughter who was studying heraldry. And at the time, I just thought it just sounded really boring because I don't do history. I'm not really much of it. Well, I'm not a historian. And I just thought, oh God, why would a 15, 16-year-old be interested in that? I still don't. I mean, I was a different 15 and 16-year-old, so I wouldn't have been. But at the moment, I'm thinking, wow, they're incredible. And I might look more into heraldry um, over the next few months. It's, yeah, so I found it, at times moving. It was, they were very sad to think that she was passing Buckingham Palace for the last time. Um, Lots of bits were sad, and lots of bits um, I found humour in. I Mark came through a few times and watched, and I called him through because there's the bit at the end where they take the orb and the sceptre and the crown away from the coffin and um, put them on the altar. And I kept saying to Mark, "It's a bloke coming to break his wand." I didn't know who it was going to break his wand, and we were looking for Voldemort. Voldemort. Um, so when the bloke did break his wand, I was very disappointed because it looked like a snooker cue, and there was no Voldemort in sight. So yeah, the ritual. I found the ritual intriguing, um, and I've read something this morning which I haven't completely read. It was a headline, and I hadn't. I read lots of things, but this headline, and I'm just trying to recall it now. But it was something about um, how all of this pomp and ceremony, which I know was watched by millions. I know that the BBC, I can't remember the numbers, was it 5.1 million? Um, it was a lot of people worldwide that watched it, um, and I know that people watch it and think, wow, it really is what Britain does well. And I was thinking about, I've sort of diverted a bit. I was thinking about Trump, and sort of I tweeted, um, if you want, we'll do this for you if you go soon. Imagine, the biggest audience ever, period. Um, yeah, I read this morning something about how all of this ritual and all of this pomp and ceremony in the leaving of the old and the bringing in of the new is a way of um, persuading the British public that the monarchy is what they want. It sort of reinforces that yes, we do want our monarchy. Look at this, look at all of this, and it sort of just is a. I don't think they do it like that now. It's not like we have to do this because, but that's where it comes from. The showing people that we're the people in charge and we're the people that you want us to carry on doing this. So yeah, I'm pleased that I looked and watched yesterday. As I've said before, I'm not a monarchist, um, but Queen Elizabeth II had been part of my life, all of my life. She reigned for 70 years, and I'm 67. So, um, uh, yeah, and sad because an old lady has died. Sad for the family that they've lost their mother, their grandmother, all of those things. Um, and watching history being made, watching history again. I watched Churchill. I thought Churchill was 62, 65. I watched Churchill's state funeral. That was the last state funeral, Churchill's state funeral. I watched that, and I would have been 10. Um, I can't remember what Diana's funeral was. It obviously wasn't a state one, but it was quite a big one, and I watched that. Um, sort of raucous going out the back there with the chickens. I can't believe I've got long trousers on, I've got socks, boots on, and a jacket. I can't believe how cold it was 5 this morning when we got up. And the daytime temperature is not really, it's getting to about 20, but that's not warm because there's um, a northeasterly breeze. It's not warm at 20. We can't sit in the sun, it's too hot. But if we sit in the shade, it's too cold. And a couple of times, the last few days, I've opened that door behind me and my window to let heat in at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon to allow the heat to come through. I have to keep an eye on it because once the sun drops behind the walnut tree that I'm looking at, you can feel it. You're sitting indoors and you can feel it beginning to cool down. So it really is autumn, and it feels like we've spent the summer fighting the heat, and then suddenly we've descended into this cold. There hasn't seemed to me to be a gentle move from one season to another. And I know that we might go back to something a bit more seasonal. I don't think this is seasonal. I don't think this cold is. But who knows? Who knows what anything is nowadays? I think that's it. That's it for now, anyway.